Thank you.
I call Dennis O'Rourke.
Mr Speaker, New Zealand First will support this bill. The two corrections it makes are okay. Firstly, permitting low and non-alcohol beer, wine and mead to be displayed for sale in the single area of supermarkets, and secondly, clarifying that any company can hold a licence under the Act. But big deal. What a pathetic little bill when you think about the magnitude of the harm that alcohol abuse does in this country. This bill is just tinkering when what is really needed is a full overhaul of the 2012 legislation. Itself a piece of legislation that was so changed, so altered, so reduced, and is now so pathetic that it really didn't make much difference, and the problems that it sought to address are still with us. And Mr Speaker, the truth is that the Sale and Supply of Alcohol Act 2012 had generated very high expectations at that time amongst the public that those reforms would be comprehensive and would make a difference, as was in fact recommended by the Law Commission. And those expectations were grossly not met. And this government's attempts at the reforms needed around alcohol over all these recent years have been an utter and complete failure. The drinking culture amongst the young is getting worse and not better, and the big commercial interests in alcohol are obviously feeling very satisfied with this government, whose arm they have twisted up the government's back, and they will be well and truly off the hook and doing well as an alcohol industry, all because of the utter inaction and pathetic response of this government to the public's expectations for realistic reform. The 2012 Act was an opportunity lost for meaningful and effective reform, an opportunity to turn back the tide of alcohol abuse, especially amongst the young. And Mr Speaker, in New Zealand First's view, there are a number of things that this bill should now be doing instead of these pathetic little measures which will make little or no difference. And amongst those, there were three particular things that we in New Zealand First felt needed attention. And I might say that we didn't treat those matters as conscience issues. We were unified. We knew what we wanted as a party, and we said it at the time. And these were those three things. The first was the failure to return the age for purchasing alcohol to 20 years. That would have really resulted in a significant reduction of consumption by that age group. It would have given them also a good signal that they needed to try and change the culture of binge drinking that has developed amongst that age group and which continues unchecked today. The second matter was the failure to deal with the problem of those ready-to-drinks, those sugary, alcohol-loaded, easy-to-drink beverages which the young were so popular amongst the young and which can get them so drunk so quickly. Sugar levels very high, drinks very attractive, and yet very harmful. This bill should be attending to some of those things, not just what can be presented and how in a supermarket. And so what we are seeing is that those problem drinks are still being pushed and are not limited. They are condemned by the experts and the Law Commission itself. They are the most potentially harmful to young people. Those are the things that this bill is not addressing, and instead it's addressing what can be displayed on supermarket shelves. Well, that's pathetic. It's not enough. And the third issue was, and others have mentioned it, the need for targeted minimum pricing. And I would say to Mr Bishop, nobody ever intended to limit to increase the price of wine, but other alcohol drinks should have minimum pricing, and that can be done through excise taxes and other means. and it would have been worthwhile. The Law Commission recommended it. Other experts recommended it. Mr Bishop may not understand it, but that just means that he doesn't understand the issues. That just means he doesn't understand the issues and he thinks the experts in the Law Commission are wrong. In fact, it is him and his party that is wrong. So, Mr Speaker, I will finish on this. While this pathetic little bill is supportable, it does some good, hardly any, won't be noticed, won't make any difference. The problem will still get worse, whether it's passed or not. Much, much more is needed by this government, and hopefully the next time they look at alcohol reform, they'll do something worthwhile.
Well said.